It's so good to have you join us today on Government House Diary. Remember, Government House Diary is a PRTVC production in collaboration with the Office of the Director of Press and Public Affairs and the Ministry of Information. Our focus is to project the programs, the policies, programs, and activities of His Excellency Barrister Caleb Mutfwang, who is the Governor of Plateau State, and his team, our commissioners, directors, and heads of ministries, parastatals, and agencies. They roll out the implementations of his policies and programs to ensure it reaches the good citizens of Plateau State. My name is Anna Paul Gendry, and today we'll focus our searchlight on the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. Our guest is none other than the Honorable Commissioner Samson Bugama. It's good to have you join us on today's episode.
Thank you.
When it comes to agriculture, the citizens of Plateau State are eager to hear, oh, we'll be giving free fertilizer. Oh yeah, we have free inputs. Oh yeah, there is food, and very affordable for people. That is their heart yearnings for the Caleb Mutfwang administration. As the head of the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, what has this ministry been able to achieve in terms of food security and good governance?
Well, from the beginning of this administration, we came in to be able to run a data-driven intervention that is private sector driven, so that we can ensure sustainability even after we exit office. And so we began a foundational work in agriculture to be able to, first of all, do some level of enumeration and understand, have data to understand the people that we're dealing with. And so we employed technology and the best of technology for us to be able to know who and who we are dealing with as farmers on the plateau. And I must tell you that one of the very first things that we achieved is that in our database currently we have over 300,000 farmers, and we're going towards having up to 2 million farmers, by the end of this administration. This was done specifically to be able to use technology to drive our decisions as government. Like we've said, most of the times when we come to agriculture, people think about fertilizer, give us fertilizers, sure, give us seed. Sure. But what we're giving, is it useful? Is it increasing our yield per hectare? Is it increasing, is it making the agronomic practices better? Okay, so we began to work towards running a data-driven agricultural system, which is emerged solidly in technology. Okay. We have cut out technologies that will help us with input distribution. Okay. It will help us with weather reports, okay, so that we will be able to run climate-smart agriculture. In the coming days, farmers will begin to receive text messages. They'll begin to receive weather advisory services, extension services, okay, that will help them to be able to do climate smart agriculture. Okay. Above that, we've apart from that, we have done interventions in providing seeds. We've been able to provide mechanization services. Okay. I remember last season we were able to cultivate about 6,000 hectares, okay, and this was basically along the corridors where insecurity happened. Mm-hmm. That was designed to return people back to their livelihood. Sure. And to see how communities are rebuilt through agriculture. Like His Excellency keeps talking about, we're not looking at just giving food sufficiency, but food sovereignty. And so a lot of background work had to begin so that we can build in the coming years.
Okay, so when you talk about technology, the enlightened citizens understand to a great level what you mean. But for those that can just speak English but don't really understand the influence of technology, what do you mean by injecting technology into agro practices?
Yeah, so when you talk about technology, you're talking about, it cuts across the whole value chain of agriculture. Okay, so for the inputs now, we are employing seed technology. Okay, for extension, we're thinking about weather advisory services. We're thinking about, apart from the natural contacts that people will have, how do you get things that are on the shelf of research institutes and get them to the last mile, which is the farmer. And that is what we have been working through to see how we can bridge that gap. Sure. And be able to get the dividends of studies that have been done, right to the last mile, which is the farmer. Okay, and you see, one of the things that we have decided to do is to say our concentration is not just farmers, but how do we build the whole value chain to make sure that it is progressive, that every part of the agricultural value chain produces wealth for the Plateau people.
Okay.
Yes.
Issuing out seedlings and giving out these weather forecasts for improved farming activities. Do you intend to deploy the services of, what do you call them? I just forgot the names, like Agri-Extension staff to help those farmers?
Yes, His Excellency graciously has approved the employment of about 420 new extension agents, which they are primarily the workforce that we have used for the registration, the farmer registration, and then the farmer reach. Okay, so we are equipped with quite a number, for us to be able to do the physical extension while we also deploy technology. Most of their own work also is enhanced by the technology that is available for them to be able to do this. Like for the enumeration, they used Kobo Collect, and Kobo Collect was able to help them take not just enumerations, but also to be able to take geo coordinates for the farmers. So we know the locations of farmers, we know where their farms are, we know what their needs are practically, and we will work towards seeing how we meet those needs.
Okay. So, how many local government areas have you covered in terms of the services?
Well, all of this will cover the whole 17 local governments. We have sought that in our distributions of fertilizers, seeds, and all the likes, we have tried to make sure that we get to the whole of the local governments to be able to get that. One of the key things we did when we came in was to divide our state into crop zones. Okay. And the crop zones, the whole 17 local governments are within the crop zones. We also have a livestock zone, so that we will give targeted interventions to see how we can develop the value chains that have comparative advantage within this local.
Can we know how you divided this? What local government falls under what agro zone?
So I give you an example. For wheat, we have Basa, Riyom, just north, just east. Okay. That falls within that. For potatoes, we have Barikin Ladi, Mangu, and some part of Riyom, that falls within that. Bokos also that falls within that. For maize, we have Mangu, Pangshin area, and Bokos area that covers within that and spills into some part of Kanke, and all of the likes. For yams, we have Kwampan, Shandam, Wase area. Rice, we have Kwampan, Shandam area. You get, and then vegetables, we have them that spread around the Jos belt, the colder sides of Jos. And then we're also exploring what we can see around Pangshin, Kanke area for vegetables and horticulture. So we decided that we were not going to just come and do agriculture, but be targeted in some of those places. And that's what led us to the SAPZ, the Special Agricultural Processing Zones. Okay, so we have mapped our state also into the 3 geopolitical zones, and we have situated within them the processing, the special agricultural processing zone. We have one that is in Shandam, we have another that is in Mangu, and then another one that is in Haipang here in Jos. Okay. The reason why we did that is so that we will be able to take advantage of the comparative strength that these value chains have within these geopolitical zones, and see how we can ramp up production around that and take our agriculture to the next step. I must let you know that when we came and we did a synopsis of what our agriculture looks like, we found out that for us to go to the next step, we have to bring in processing. Okay? And so we're ramping up production along the value chains, around the crop zones, so that to be able to fit in the processing when it begins.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll have more feelers on a feedback process for all those achievements.
And you can see that in terms of layout as to how to deal with agriculture, everybody is on ground. But all of you come from villages, and you know that if God does not help us, that hunger is staring us in the face. It will be unfortunate that we are on duty and that hunger begins to kill our people. Not only are we supposed to ensure sustainable food security, but we have the potential to even achieve what I call food sovereignty. That we can become one of the major players in this food supply chain, not only in Nigeria, but even globally.
It's good to have you join us on Government House Diary. We've been talking with the Honorable Commissioner of Agriculture and Rural Development, Samson Bugama is his name. He has done justice to unravel some of the activities that has been achieved by this ministry under the leadership of Governor Caleb Mutfwang, touching lives through agriculture. But we want to find out, are people, are citizens of Plateau State happy with this activities? Have they benefited in any way? Commissioner, do you have any feedback concerning your achievement?
Yes, you know, part of the things that we have tried to do is try to set up a monitoring system, you know, that gives us feedback to the kind of things that are happening. And that's one of the reasons why we've been able to see how we truncated setups that seem to undermine what government is doing. Okay, but the feedback directly from people is that some of these interventions have reached to the grassroots, but they're asking for more. You know, certainly you find out that they're asking for more, and His Excellency is bent on doing more. Okay. He's bent on doing more. This year we'll be engaging about 15,000 hectares.
Wow.
You know, around the state. Last year, especially around places, corridors where their livelihoods have been taken away. We want to see how we can return people back to their livelihood. And we're targeting to do about 15,000 hectares. This is not to say we are doing only 15,000 hectares, but we are we will get the farmers to be able to do much more than that. But targeted interventions that we're going to do, especially in land preparation, in seed, distributions and all of that, will cover about 15,000 hectares.
Okay, when you say about interventions of land that's tilling the land for them using fertilizers, do they need to pay for the services?
No. You know, when you're talking about interventionist kind of ideas, we're looking at basically to be able to return people to their livelihood. Okay, because there are people that over the years have been displaced.
Sure.
Okay, and then we have very fertile land sitting down, especially around the Gashish corridor. You know, around some of the places that have been displaced around Mangu, and you know, almost every part of the state has been affected with these menace. So we're looking at the possibility of returning back this livelihood, because people have to go back. Our people are not lazy people. They are farmers. They till the land and get it. So we want to be able to bring interventions that will help them to not just till the land, but do it better. Increase yield per hectare, increase land hectare coverage, and see how we can produce food and attain food sovereignty.
Yeah, I'm sure it's been all over the media. His Excellency did well by distributing fertilizers, subsidized fertilizers to farmers. Yeah, drums are rolling out for those that got it, and some kind of dissatisfaction for those that couldn't. What is your impact going to be this year in terms of fertilizer distribution?
Well, we look forward to doing more. And just like I've said, we have deployed technology to make sure that it gets to the last mile, and the last mile is the farmer. You know, so we will be working and utilizing technology to be able to. We've learned lessons from the failures of the past. You know, where people who are not really farmers, you understand, got allocations and then took them to the market. You know, so we have deployed technology now, and with the farmer data that we have, you know, we know the geolocations of where these farmers are, and these inputs will get to them directly. Not through surrogates that have the possibility.
Still subsidized or free?
Yeah, it's subsidized.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought it would be free so that I can come for mine.
It's subsidized.
Okay, moving on now. How possible is it for you to have collaborations with individuals or businessmen that are agro-inclined?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, we are looking at, for sustainability, we are looking at driving a private sector-led agricultural development system. You know, we don't want government doing everything. We want individuals coming in and playing within the whole value chain. That's why I said we're not just trying to develop the production part, the primary production. We're looking at the possibility of the whole value chain. Okay, and the people who will man these value chains, okay, are the private sector individuals. Okay. So there's value to be given and value to take within the value chain for any person who wants to play within it. And so our work as the government is creating an enabling environment for these private sector entities to be able to work to function properly.
Okay, it seems your ministry is more into humanitarian activities as you develop or empower people. What do you do to generate revenue?
Well, I think it's on both sides. We try to just not only do interventionist actions or interventions, but also to be able to see how we can create revenue for the government, for the state. And so ours is to be able to look at, create policies that will help government to function properly. Okay, so where interventions need to be done, interventions are done. Where revenue needs to be generated, revenue is generated. And that's why we are working carefully and closely with the private sector to be able to generate those revenues. The SAPZ and all of the likes will be driven by the private sector. We will just create the enabling environment for them to come in, plug and play.
Okay. So how can you advise plateau farmers on building sustainable agriculture for economic development?
Dan, this is my turf. We have been trying to see how we can transcend farmers from agriculture to agribusiness. It's very necessary for us because, you see, agriculture in itself is not sustainable, but agribusiness is sustainable. So that our people will not just embrace farming, but the business of farming. So that when a person goes out there, he goes out there to farm, he's going out there to do a business venture. Okay, so that will help him in his inputs. in his agricultural practices, in his processing, in his, so he looks at within the value chain, how do I make more profit? Because you see, that is what will help us generally as an economy. Okay, the reason why we brought in Placom, and Placom is a company that will help farmers to be able to offtake, at premium prices as the best that can, and bridge the gap of those who come to exploit them and keep them perpetually in poverty. Okay, so it is a whole value chain that we're looking at, and to see how we can push farmers into profitability as far as agriculture is concerned. So our desire is not just improve farming on the plateau, but improve wealth on the plateau.
Plateau Agricultural Development Program is an agency under the Ministry of Agriculture. How does your synergy affect farmers?
So PADP is a program, that over the years have been like the implementation of the implementation arm of the ministry. Okay, PADP, we've had a very good synergy. It's like a parent and a child, with very good understanding. Some of the policy statements of some of the policy of government is in agriculture is implemented by PADP. Okay, and so we understand the extension arm that they do the physical production sites and all of the likes. And PADP also has over the time generated a good amount of revenue for the government. So the synergy is good, the program is good, and we're seeing how we're strengthening PADP on every side. If you go there, you find out that renovations have been done in PADP, implements have been fixed, so PADP's capacity has really increased since the coming of His Excellency Barrister Caleb Mutfwang, and we look forward to doing that more. We've revived PAMSCO also, which is the Plateau Agricultural Mechanization Corporation. Okay. So His Excellency has pumped life to some of these agencies, that hitherto have been comatose on the plateau.
All right. How will you advise plateau farmers to key into the 2025 farming season?
Well, for plateau farmers, we need to be able to move away from what we know to what is the current reality. Okay, climate change has done so much to the planting calendar and the seasons that we have. The government has invested so much, His Excellency has invested so much in technology to bring extension messaging to the farmers. We will beg them to listen. Okay, I know that people have history of going to the farm. Let's allow technology to guide us. Because the current realities, show. Last year there was a drought. When we came out and advised people to hold on or plant early maturing varieties. Some people did not listen to us until the drought, came and much losses were made. So we will advise the plateau to walk along with us, to believe us. His Excellency has a good heart to see how he can use agriculture to change the fortunes of plateau, and they should watch out for us. We're coming with this extension messaging, with interventions that will change the story on the plateau.
It's all right. Thank you so much for your time on Government House Diary.
Thank you.
To you, our viewer, thank you for keeping a date with us, and thank you for your time to listen and to be enlightened concerning the impact of the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. Hoping that you have understood or had clarity on gray areas, and you are encouraged to have faith in agricultural practices on the plateau. See you next week. My name is Anna Paul Gindry. Have a great day.